our meditation today is going to take us on a journey to a safe place. So if everyone will get comfortable in their chairs, feet flat on the floor, hands open on your thighs to receive, spine erect, and take a couple of deep breaths, breathing in the wonderful, powerful vibrations of love that are experienced here. And as you breathe out, release anything that's not of value to you today. Any troubles, concerns, pains, whatever, just blow them away. Breathe in more wonderful spiritual energy and release anything that you need. And now I want you to think for a moment of a place where you feel safe. It could be in your chair at home. It could be in your backyard. It could be in a boat on the water. It could be here. It could be with certain people. But take just a moment to find a place where you feel safe. And breathe in that wonderful feeling of being safe and secure. And now I want you to think of why you feel safe there. Is it because it's familiar? Is it because it's strong? What is it that makes you feel safe in your special place? Feeling safe and secure, in my opinion, is feeling the God's presence. Remembering that you are a whole, created, spiritual being. And that when you open yourself to God's presence, you feel that safety, serenity, calmness, and peace. So this can be anywhere you are, which means anywhere you are, you can be safe. Now that does not mean that we still don't have favorite places to sit and meditate and pray and think of others and read spiritual information, things that feed our soul. But it does mean that wherever you are, you can feel God's wonderful arms surrounding you and loving you, and knowing deep within yourself you have that spark of God that is feeding you from the inside out as well as receiving from the outside in. What a wonderful gift we have. When we realize this, when we accept it, when we experience it, and we live it. So as you're here today and as you go out into the world, take the feeling of peace with you, knowing that God is always with you. And so it is.
All right. Well, are you ready?
Yes. Yes.
I decided today I'm a metaphysical spinner. I take ideas and spin them for new ways for you to see things. I really do. I enjoy that. I enjoy taking certain perceptions and realizing all the many possibilities of perceptions that we can choose from until we find the perception that's closest to our truth. When we start perceiving the truth will appear. So I think it's important that we say the same thing in many, many different ways.
Yeah.
So this morning, the purpose of the message is to create in you a new neural pathway.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
We have 100 billion neuronal cells in the brain, and very few of them are actually being used. And the ones that are being used are the ones that we've been making for most of our life. And we just keep looping through those same things, thinking the same things, feeling the same way, and doing the same thing. Then we wonder why we're stuck.
Right.
It's time to spin off, right? Spin off the loop that we've been going around and around and around, expecting something different to happen.
Right.
You know that old saying, but it is true. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect something different to happen.
Crazy.
So we have to spin off. So I'm going to give you a spin.
All right. You're ready.
Something, I love taking things that are kind of taboo. Things that, well, I don't want to go there. That's not good. And taking and showing you that everything has a spiritual component to it, no matter what it is. In the song we just sang, I wondered, when you come to that point, what did it say about right and wrong? That doesn't mean right and wrong, it means how I think of right and wrong.
Right.
That's our baggage. Our baggage is our perception of things. And most of the time we perceive things not for what they are, but as something different.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why we have the world that we have today. We have a world of a lot of collective perceptions that is not in alignment with the true idea of what the so-called kingdom of God on earth, I don't know what else to call it, but to call it the new earth, as Tolle calls it, the new heavens and the new earth. The new earth is not new, it just means an aligned earth that is aligned with heaven.
Yeah.
For it is done in heaven, so let it be done on earth,
Yeah.
just as it is in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Yeah.
It is done in the heavens. And let the seeds of heaven be planted in the good grounds of earth, body, as well as our planet itself. So my message is called Treasures Out of Darkness. The mystery is finished. This comes from Isaiah, yes, Old Testament. But I've tried to make it clear to you that Isaiah is, of all the books of the Bible, that has been rediscovered in 1945 in the Nahumdi scrolls, was the most intact and not been tampered with by the interpreters. So in other words, there was a second Isaiah that was found that was still pure, that didn't make it into the time in which they began to build the Christian religion in 313 AD in the Nicene Councils. So it remained in a pure state. And because of that, Greg Braden made and wrote a book called The Isaiah Effect. You heard of that book?
Yeah.
The Isaiah Effect. If you haven't read it, I really would encourage you to do it. But there is many, and even back years ago when I was kind of out of fundamentalism, I continued to always love and be drawn to Isaiah. There's many wonderful things in Isaiah that was just different from the rest of the Old Testament. It didn't fit in with the laws of Moses and all of that was going on in that place. And now I understand exactly why. So it's Isaiah 45 and 3 says, I will give thee treasures of darkness and hidden treasures of secret places, that thou mayest know that I am the Lord, the Adonai. Not the Lord of the translation of the Old Testament or the New Testament under King James. In the King James, when it said Lord, it meant kings and the lordship of the royalty, the bloodlines. But actually, you got to understand that everything has a counterpart in the spiritual realm. So there is a true lordship that is the Adonai, the Lord of the Spirit, not the Lord of man. So, our greatest treasure is not natural possessions or money, but that which is hidden deep within our own subconscious or the unconscious. It is that dark, unused part of ourself that is, in fact, light that is unconscious of itself. Read that again.
Yeah, do please.
It is that dark, unused part of ourselves that is in fact light, that is unconscious of itself. Darkness is unconscious light. When I first read that statement in one of Carl Jung's books, it resonated with me as a truth. I was always fascinated by a statement in the book of Psalms by David in 139:12. Even the darkness is not dark to you and conceals nothing from you, but the night shines as bright as the day. Darkness and light are alike to you. That always fascinated me, but I didn't understand it until this famous Swiss psychologist, Carl Jung, made this statement that darkness is only unconscious light. There is no separation in light and darkness. The part that is light to you is that which has been enlightened to you. But there remains a lot of us yet to be discoverers of our own darkness. We've been getting rid of our fears so that we can dive into the deep, deep waters of consciousness. Psalms 18:11 says, God has made darkness his secret place. His pavilion around about him were dark waters and thick clouds. Now, my religious teaching is darkness represented where the evil was.
Right.
Demons and devils was in the dark places. If you look at all of the movies and shows today, how they use darkness to represent the evil, the demons of things, to make us fearful of the dark. Right? And sadly to say, that has trickled down all the way down to a lot of millions of people who tend to think toward anything that is dark, including darker skin. That is true. That is psychologically something that cannot be swept under the rug, but we have seen people who are less white, light, and more dark as something to be concerned about. So I'm just willing to say that to you, that it is in the psyche of a lot of people that is out there. I read in physics that for hundreds of years scientists stared at the dark covering in the nucleus of the nucleolus of the nucleus, but no one ever studied it because they didn't think anything was there. No one wanted to go into that little dark spot in the middle of the cell called the nucleus. Now we know today in science that that was actually a dark cloud of probability. A dark cloud of probability. It was like the veil that hid the most holy place of the tabernacle of the children of Israel.
Wow.
So the Western mind sees darkness as nothing, or a place that holds more fearful archetypes. We have always gone for the something that can be witnessed and seen by the five senses. If I can see it, if I can hear it, smell it, taste it, or touch it, then it is real based upon my five senses and how that I perceive it. We are told that we are light. When we are light, there is no need to go to the light. Go to the light, everybody says. Go to the light. But it says, ye are light, and the light is the light of men. If I was light and came into this room at night and it was dark, I would love exploring and discovering the darkness, what's in it. I would want light in the darkness.
Right.
If I'm not, I'm going to bump into things. I'm going to be fearful. I don't know what's going on. So all I would want to do would be to turn the light switch on, and light would fill the darkness. Now you can't turn that around in any way. You can't do the opposite of that and take darkness and feel light. It will not work. So, one is real, one is not real. And you always want to go toward what is real.
Right.
I told this story many times, but I was pastoring a little church in East Texas back in the 70s. And I was kind of coming into some of this understanding, and I did a very simple thing, but it made my point. And it was a night service on Sunday evening. It was dark, and I told a gentleman on the front row, kind of simple soul, who loved his pastor and would do anything the pastor said. If the pastor said it, it was God. And so I told him, I said, here's a jar of light, and it was all light, had a candle or a light, I think it was a flashlight in it. And I said, now take this out into the dark. And he did. And it remained light in the dark.
Right.
Now I took the light out, and I took the jar, and I said, go get me a jar of darkness. And he said, yes, sir. Believe it or not. And he took the jar and went out, and there's no light in it, it was dark. And he brought it in, and I says, Brother John, where's your darkness? He said, I had it. It was dark out there. I said, now wait a minute. If the light is real in the presence of darkness, and darkness is real, then darkness is real in the presence of the light. And it was not.
Right.
Several hours we will call it dark out there.
Right.
But really the truth is the planet is turned and the sun is not shining on this side of the planet.
Right.
And there will be an absence of a source for daytime or light, which is the sun. But there is no source of darkness.
Oh.
Moon does not cast darkness upon the planet.
Right.
It is an absence. It's what is not there, not what is there.
Right.
So when I began to study some of this and came into quantum feeling, and I had the experience that I've shared with you so many times from Deepak Chopra's tape, that what we thought was empty in the cell, empty space, was not empty spell, but it was a teeming electromagnetic field of all possibilities. I began to realize how little of self we have brought into consciousness. Mm-hmm. Let me give you some statistics. 3% of our genetic material we're only conscious of. Probably a little more today. These numbers are changing because science is changing and we're evolving more with technology and we're learning more. So the numbers are changing. But let's say we move it to 5 or 10% of our genetic material is now observed. That means 90% isn't.
Right.
And that 90% for many, many centuries was called our junk DNA.
Right.
DNA that we knew nothing about, so they came up with an idea that was left over from our past evolutionary journey, so therefore it was not needed at all. That's the old paradigm.
Right.
The shift into the new paradigm is no, it's not from our past, it is holding the future answers to diseases and to issues that can help us to be healthier human beings. Treasures in the trash, it's called. In the Time magazine edition of this, it's called Treasures in the Trash. What we thought was trash DNA holds treasures of answers for incurable disease and sickness. We know we don't use much of our mind power, brain power. It was only 3 to 5%. Einstein used 10. If someone like Einstein was using 10%, what is the average human using out there? And we're not exactly expanding that because now we've extended and projected our brain out into our little cell phone in which we can ask it anything we want and it will think for us. So we don't have to think. Do it all the time. It drives me crazy. I can't think of that person on television. What's their name? Next thing I know, Tim's got the phone up and asked the name and got it right then and there. You don't have to think. It'll think for you.
You don't have to
So we're not expanding our mind power whatsoever. So on and on I can go. And what I realized that this darkness that I explained to you one Sunday that I was experiencing when I got to minister in the late 80s was like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, looking into a deep abyss of a void of darkness. And I was so upset. I thought, well, if there is a God out there who did call me into the ministry at 16, how would I end up at the end of a cliff at the end of it? I was really pissed. And I had to heal that because my anger was toward a God, the God that I believed in, that would dare to bring me to the edge of not believing anymore in what I had worked so hard to believe in all my life as a child. To believe in the God they said it was, and to believe in the things that I was taught and told. I didn't believe it anymore. So I was standing at this dark abyss. Then I heard Deepak Chopra say, this is not empty space, but it's a void, that is a plenium. Do you understand what a plenium? Plenium means that it's not void of anything, but it means it's where a whole lot of energy is that cannot be perceived by the five senses. That's a plenium. In fact, in the book Holographic Universe by Michael Tolbert, David Bohm, the protege of Einstein, says that 1/100th of a cubic inch of space holds a plenium of all the energy of the universe.
Wow.
Now you understand, it's that kind of teaching that brought us the atomic bomb. The fact that we could take this subtle field that cannot be seen, but at the quantum level, and push it all together, that exploded into power that could have done two things for the human race. One, evolved it, or secondly, destroyed it. And that's what nuclear power is. There are good uses of nuclear power under regulation and certain things that could solve us of coal and all kinds of things that are polluting. But instead, we use it to go and bomb millions of people and children. And today, that's the greatest fear that we're back into in the world today, of too many big boys out there, bullies, have got access to the button.
This is true.
It's concerning. I tell you, folks, we need an intervention of the divine into the human.
Yes.
Heaven into earth. The spirit into earth. We need a coming. Christ needs to come. I don't know about no man out of the sky, but this Christ consciousness in you and I needs to gather itself into a great power and intervene with the powers to be in the world today. Changing the powers of the world into the power of the inner Christ Spirit. When you are the light, there's no need to go to the light, but the nature of the light is always to explore the darkness itself. So what I'm using here, darkness, as that which we have not become enlightened to.
Right.
And I've used this over in the Sunday school, all I call Sunday school, in the Bible class on Sunday morning, and I've asked, I think it was Charles I asked one time, what is my Social Security? Well, he was in the dark. Unless he has hacked my information, or for some reason I've shared it with him, he had not been enlightened to that information. Therefore, he was not enlightened with that knowledge. The minute I would have shared that information with him, his enlightenment would have expanded and he would have known something he didn't know. But because he didn't know it, it doesn't mean it didn't exist.
Right.
How much exists in you that you don't know about yourself?
Right.
Wow.
How much potential is in you? Many of you think I'm not good at this and I'm not good at that and I never could sing and I don't know how to get up and speak in front of people and I don't know how to do. I believe that you have done much more than you realize you have done through your entire life stream. I think that you've got talents and gifts and knowledge and information and experience that you've never even tapped in that is dwelling within you right now. Don't limit yourself to the small band of third-dimensional, mundane human experience. The unknown, therefore, is a mystery. So let's talk about the mystery. There are many words people use to describe the search. And as we talked this morning, one of the words was occult. I was telling this morning that this is not a bad word, but it holds a lot of predetermined ideas because it's too close to the word occult. Most people think when you say occult, you're saying a cult because the brain generalizes it. Occult means only those things which are hidden. That's all it means. Look it up for yourself. In any dictionary, anywhere, occult means a person who looks for the hidden, deep meanings of things. Occult is those who project their power upon a person, place, or thing. When you surround and give your power to a minister, a priest, a rabbi, an avatar, a guru, or as a religion to a belief system, a creed, then you are in a cult, which disempowers you. Occult empowers you. It is those that goes into the dark, rich places of enrichment of where wisdom, ancient wisdom, dwells within each and every one of us. It is our innate intelligence of lifetimes and lifetimes, even before lifetimes, even before we incarnated into the human experience. It says that we were found with God when the mountains were being formed, and God said, "You are my delight," before time even began. Wow, I'd like to remember that, wouldn't you? We cannot talk about this riches in the dark without talking about dark matter. 85% of this universe is dark matter. This is composed of, and I'm quoting, as of yet undiscovered particles. 85% of yet undiscovered particles. We cannot explain our universe until we understand dark matter. Even though we cannot explain it and it is dark to us, meaning we're unconscious of what it really is, what we do know as to what it does, it is a strong influence on our evolution. Wow. There are many words people use to describe this search. These are just some of them. In Revelations 10 and 6, the Bible reads that time shall be no more when the mystery of God is finished. That's powerful. Time shall be no more. Now, if you look at the translation of time shall be no more, and this is in every Bible over into the side reference, it says, when there is no more delay. Today we would read it in energy work when all the blockages have been removed. When all the blockages have been removed, the mystery of God is finished. For many years, my ego interpreted this to mean that God was mysterious and wanted to play hide and seek with us. Finally, I looked at the word mystery. Very interesting. As used in the context of this scripture, In its original translation, the Greek found it to mean a secret or mystery through the idea of silence imposed by initiation into religious rites. Strong's Concordance. Let me read that again. Mystery is made a secret or a mystery through ideas of silencing masses of people by imposing on them religious rites.
Whoa, yikes.
Religion has made God the mystery because they do not want you to find out that God as you
Right.
is the true identity. God is not mysterious. Man-made religions have kept this mysterious to the masses so that the people could not be empowered. This is just the ego system, or the lower aspect of the mind, that is personified in the religions of patriarchal hierarchy religions. They have placed God far from us, unreachable, and way beyond our intelligence. This knowledge was just for the learned and the lettered. That frees us from the untruth. What frees us from the untruth is when we realize that we all have access into the most holy place. The genuine most holy place, the nucleolus of the cell, is not a space in an external natural tabernacle, but it is deeply within each and every one of us, our own tabernacle, the human body. So this dark spot in the cell continue to be overlooked as they continue to search for the reasons that certain characteristics were passed down from generation to generation. So why? Why does somebody have brown eyes and then the children have brown eyes? That's what they were trying to find. But every time they look at the nucleus, they just saw this dark spot. Nothing. Didn't go there until 1952.
Wow.
After hundreds of years of searching to see why characteristics of human beings are carried from generation to generation, and looking right at it when they looked at the dark spot, which was the dark cloud of probability covering the nucleus. That in 1952, two physicists, one from America, one from Britain, playing with tinker toys, being like children on the floor, came to understand and discover DNA.
Wow.
It was all along wrapped 7.5 million times into a small space in the nucleus. The most holy place of the human body is in the human nucleus itself. The Greeks thought it had to be in the blood and studied that possibility until others said, no, it had to be in the cell itself. But they too continued to bypass this dark place. From this, something was discovered called the quintessence, or the fifth element, called physis. Up until that time, the Greek thought everything was made up of only 4 elements of fire, earth, water, air. There is no 5th element, they would say, in physics. Hippocrates used physis as the natural process within the human system that allowed it to be self-healing and regenerative. So when we talk about the body knows how to heal itself, it's in the dark places. There is hidden an intelligence that knows how to change the vibration of the replication of cells themselves, that holds keys to the kingdom of heaven being manifest upon the earth and as the earth. That word was called physis. It's interesting. We would call physis today the ether or spirit from a religious word. It is the quintessence that is there. It is the unseen. It is the hidden intelligence that allows a flower to bloom when it does, or that one sperm to make it to the egg when others have failed by the millions. The unseen that we cannot explain. Maybe we call that God in some way, but it is the inner hidden intelligence. We find that the word for physics and physical is the same word for spirit. They are not separate, but they are Planck's constant of energy equals energy. Everything is energy. We have to come to understand there is no inner, there is no more outer in the age of energy. This will all change as we move and normalize the more Piscean age, that we're going to change our language. We need a language adjustment. We need to stop saying, my body has an aura. We need to stop saying everything is within my body. It's not what we have, but in the age of energy, it's who we are. We don't have energy, we are energy at every level, including even our physical is energy. Aristotle found something called the arche in Greek, which means the invisible is made visible, or first cause. You see, religion has pretty much failed to find what we call the divine within the human. It has ended up as another philosophy or thought system, and has taken its place among religious beliefs. Most religion is blind faith. We just believe it. Even if we read, say, the Fillmores, or we read Holmes, or we read other people that had great influence upon us. There's so many people that have said, that sounds good to me, I'm going to believe it. But without the experience of it. We don't need more beliefs. We don't need new beliefs. New churches, communities being built upon more beliefs. We need people coming together from the experience of knowing who we are. Today I ask you to spend your time setting intentions to unveil yourselves. Do not fear going into the undiscovered aspects of self, the unknown, into what you see as a mystery of yourself. How many of you have said in the last few days or week or whenever, I don't even understand myself. I don't know why I think that way. I don't know why I do that. Because you see it as a mystery. It's not a mystery. It's an aspect of you waiting to be discovered, waiting to be awakened in you. This is time for self-conscious expansion. The self has been growing in the womb of man's mind and consciousness. As a caterpillar changes within the cocoon, or the fetus grows into a baby in the mother's womb until it can't hold it anymore. I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like my brain's going to burst from all the books and knowledge and information that I'm trying to store and remember and put into messages and teach and whatever. The best times that I have is when it comes out of myself and from myself.
Yes.
I want to get back to that. I've left to some degree because I wanted to please people who want me to come up with messages and sermons and cute little titles and all that kind of thing. I think we need true, deep teachings to awaken our own potentials and possibilities. We need to vibrate and resonate that which sleeps deep within the bowels of our consciousness. Go down in the storm of your life that you're going through right now, for there's one who sleeps in the ship. Say, awake thou that sleepest in me, and come up. And when it does, the first words that it'll say is what? Be still, O brain. Quit trying to analyze and figure it all out.
Right.
Just stand still and know that I am God.
Yes.
Peace, be still to the storm of your life. And peace shall come. Maybe it'll not come from, but it'll come in the storm. And that's the greatest peace, is the peace that passes understanding, the joy that is exceeding, and life that is abundant. Join with me right now as we address through intention to awakening of aspects of ourself that is laying dormant and sleeping. Many of you need some answers. I need answers. I need directions. I'm not sure where I'm going. I'm not sure what brought me back to Charlotte. Nothing that I even dared to think has happened in coming back here. And I'm not alone in the whole circumstance and situation. It's all been something completely different. Some of you need some answers about medical issues and decisions that you need to make about your health. Some of you got family issues that you need guidance and understanding. Don't pray for something to fall down on you. Realize the answer is asleep in you, ready to be awakened this morning.
Right.
So join with me. Divine Holy Spirit, right now, we address that which is already deep within the undiscovered and unknown part of our own inner universe. We ask through the power of intention, the awakening of new possibilities that we've looked outside of ourselves for. We've looked for others. We've looked for people to tell us what we need to learn to know inside of ourselves. We're thankful for those that strengthen our own inner voice, those who teach and minister, the readings and the different things that we go to, but we must not look to them as our source. They are only the tools in which to resonate and vibrate our own intelligent wisdom, lying deep within the depths of ourselves. I'm calling it forth out of the grave today. The dark, unconscious places in us, places where we have forgotten who we have been through lifetimes. Who we were back in Atlantis when we had all kinds of technology and knowing how to do so many things that we think we don't know how to do in this lifetime. We awaken it today for great wisdom, direction, purpose, and guidance in our lives. Help us to wake out of this dream and this nightmare that we have found ourselves in. Help us to awake and shake ourselves from the dust of the earthly and the density of humanity. Shake us from hate to love. From the warrings that are going on in the world today to peace. Knowing that no matter how it all appears and how it appears it's going, that God will only bring peace in the end. Renew our vision beyond what our eyes see and our ears hear on the mass media. We're trying to figure out which is the good station, which is the bad station. What's the good news? What's the bad news? Where's the fake news? Where's the true news? That's all relevant to you. If you're in a certain place, then you'll turn to one station and that's your truth. And they will validate it and strengthen it. If you're on the other side of the aisle, then you'll find your station and everything that you believe, and that'll strengthen you. I say throw it all out the door and just stand and be still and know that I am God, saith the Lord. Neutralize it. You are the coming of the Christ consciousness into the world. Not a man out of the sky or a spaceship of the mothership coming down to take us to planet so-and-so, but the kingdom of God shall be established right here on this planet, beginning with you and I today. So we ask this, believing and knowing that it is already accomplished and already done. Bring it to our consciousness. And so it is. The mystery is finished. No more delay, no more excuses. Time shall be no more. This is that which was spoken by the prophets. This is that. Say it with me. This is that. Not tomorrow. This is that.
All right. Excellent.
All right.